Welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits. Coming to you live, recorded from the Recycle Garage in sunny Santa Cruz, California. Hey everyone, this is Liza, and I'm not alone today. No, I'm not, but I am coughing, so sorry about that. Still a little sick. We got a really cool show, a really good guest coming on, and a couple missing misfits who I might have to
punch in the nuts.
But let's get to who is here and who is safe from getting abuse from me. Joining me on the Classic Girl couch, always looking lovely in drab gray, it's Miss Emma.
Aloha, darlings. Yes, even I make drab grey look good.
Especially with those hot Doc Martens.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Got to wear the Dyke Martens, darling. Hey, so I had sickness last week. So I was sorry I wasn't able to join. But a lot of it going around, unfortunately.
Yeah, got the ick.
Yes, definitely got the ick.
Speaking of the ick, joining us, it's Jumpy Stan.
Jumpy Stan.
Hey, ho, everybody.
Jumpy Stan.
Stumpy John from the Hizzle.
And sitting in front of something new in the garage, which you need to find out about. It's Bagel.
It is the purveyor of corrosion.
Yes, absolutely. You wear it well, Bagel. How are things in Velveeta?
Oh, doing all right. It's been kind of dreary lately, weather-wise.
Oh dear, has winter arrived with a vengeance, darling?
It's coming. It's coming, and the deer are out and about.
Oh dear.
And yes, I got to meet Bambi the other night. As a matter of fact.
Oh, head on.
Glancing blow, actually.
Ooh.
First
Oh, wow.
time.
No, really?
Yeah, in the van, thankfully. So just some plastic damage, a little dent in the fender.
What about Bambi?
Bambi staggered off a bit dazed, but in one piece. So I think it was not. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I saw him coming from the side in a very fast pace, and I swerved.
Right.
I had to miss him, but he just went right into my fender, and so.
Now,
Bagel, what is your count right now?
yeah, we want to talk about this motorcycle count of yours. Yes.
I'll have to pull up the spreadsheet. Give me a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
But it's hard to keep track of sometimes.
Yeah.
What is your running to non-running ratio?
Well, no, he's going to come to that.
Well, running right now,
One.
I guess you could say reasonably with an afternoon's wrenching, it would be 3.
Okay, and how many non-running?
Give me a minute here.
He really is a spreadsheet.
No, he's got to say he's looking at it.
Let me, Emma. What percentage of a bike do you need to have to qualify it as a bike?
Oh, any amount.
So frame and engine.
Yeah, frame and engine. That's a matter.
What about wheels?
No, you don't need wheels.
Okay.
Don't need wheels.
Yep. So I've got looks like 25 bikes on it.
God.
Jeez.
Bagel.
Yeah. I'm working on getting rid of a few. So
can you tell us the latest one, please?
well, as it happens, things follow you home, and sometimes they just follow you home for free, basically.
Yes.
Or for a very minimal amount of legwork, shall we say.
Yes.
And through a little bit of horse trading, I ended up with a 1960 Harley-Davidson topper.
Oh, I say that's topper.
Yes.
Toppermost of the poppermost.
Okay,
Yeah,
but you were explaining the model hierarchy to us earlier before the microphones were switched on.
Right, because they had a couple of different variations of the topper, where there was the base model and a higher powered model, and then I think another larger version that came out later. But in 1960, when this one was available, this was the lower powered model of the two. It was basically the restricted version that was restricted in order to meet the requirements of laws in certain states, where it said it couldn't go over certain speed or horsepower or whatever.
Good
And
Lord.
So they restricted the engine, and it was the AU model where the U stood for underpowered.
I see. How many horsepower would you say this thing has got? I mean, it's single digits, obviously.
Oh yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's fairly low. It's like maybe 6. I don't even know.
Gosh. Okay,
Yeah.
so quite slow, I should think. And how much of this fine piece of Americana do you actually own?
Well, it comes with an engine case, a frame, the front fender and leg shield, the rear of the leg shield, the rear fiberglass bodywork, which is in exceptionally good condition, which is really nice. But it is missing some of the other bodywork, like the center fiberglass section, taillight, headlight, pretty much all the trim. The engine is there. The engine case is there. It's missing some significant parts to it, but I have some thoughts of things that could be done with it. But
I bet they're rotten.
Oh yes, they are not pure thoughts, let's say. But I don't want to say too much yet. I still need to do a lot of consideration about what I would actually want to do with it. But
I would like to make a declaration
of independence.
No, a declaration, much like our own. What's the right amount? A formula.
T-1.
T-1. I'm gonna say if B is equal to or greater than A, you may be a hoarder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And B is greater than A, you may be a hoarder, Bagel.
Well, that's why I'm planning on getting rid of a few things.
That's exactly what a hoarder would say.
However,
right?
I mean,
well, let's.
I have exactly the same disease as you, Bagel. Unfortunately, some of my stuff runs to larger machines, and I recently bought quite a big motor car, which I'm working on right now, which you haven't heard about.
I heard a mention of it, but you haven't actually told me about it yet.
Oh well, so I might as well share this. And I know this is a motorcycle podcast, so I'm not going to dwell on it. And we're not going to descend into Jeep talk with Liza. But I bought a 1950 Packard Club Coupe, straight 8. 3 on the tree, manual transmission.
Wow.
Which is a very nice car indeed, but doesn't run very well at all. In fact, I think it's running on about 5.5 cylinders, so I'm working on the top end of the engine right now. But hopefully it might turn out okay. But that takes up the space for at least 10 motorcycles.
Yeah, it sure does.
So don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
Well, I am selling motorcycles.
I know you are.
In fact, if anyone is interested, I just listed on Facebook Marketplace my 690 Enduro, ready for adventure.
For $4,000.
$4,000.
That's a very good bike indeed for $4,000.
Yeah, it's a lot of bike, but it's ready to go. That one I've stayed on top of all the things and fixed all the things, and then I'm getting ready to put the Nike up for sale. It's just the battery just took a dive, so I got a new battery coming.
How much will you be asking for that $6,000 motorcycle?
Funny you should ask. Because I'm basing it on the others that are for sale right now, which there's only ever a few in the country.
Yes.
Somebody has one very similar with similar mileage, and they're asking like $13,900.
Good Lord.
I was going to ask $11,000. And I put new tires on it. I mean, it's good to go.
I got you those tires.
Yeah. I've hardly put any miles on it since I put those tires on.
Right.
And, yeah, I was going to ask.
No, I mean, I still maintain absolutely amazing bike.
It's just interesting because so many bikes have taken a dive in value with everything going on, but the Nikon seems to skirt around that because it's such a...
Well, it's a rarity.
It's a rare, but still kind of a newish bike, so it's a very functioning, good bike. Anyway, yeah, because I'm going to do a long-distance ride this summer, and it doesn't have good enough gas mileage. So I can't use that bike, but it's so comfortable. I totally would if it had better gas mileage.
So my question to you, what will you replace it with?
My first hope is to get basically the same thing, but with one less wheel, which is a Tracer GT.
Yeah, Tracer GT.
Just because it's a good bike, or maybe a Versus 1000.
Also a good bike.
Yeah, just something in that range, just something that's capable of putting on a bunch of miles and not having to deal with any maintenance.
Okay.
But that's in the like $5,000 to $6,000 used range.
Well, you get a lovely booster for that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be.
You wouldn't get a
perfect
stretched one though.
No. I have a couple more announcements to make. So this one I'm kind of excited. Listen up, peeps. If you would like to join me and Bagel in Vancouver, December 22nd, for the premiere of the Fortnite movie Fast Way Round, we have 2 extra tickets to give away. So one winner, you get 2 tickets. Bagel, you didn't know that I pulled that string, did you?
That's pretty cool.
I got 2 tickets for me and Bagel, and one winner who gets to join us. You have to get yourself there, but you get to meet, Ryan and the crew and me and Bagel, and I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Super fun.
It's going to be in Vancouver, Canada, BC, December 22nd, which is a Monday, I believe. Do I have that right? Or is it a Tuesday?
Let's see.
It's middle of the week, so heads up on that.
Yeah, it's a Monday.
Yeah. So I will basically just fly in that day. Yeah, it's a Monday. If you would like to join us, it's very simple. We're going to have a little contest, and Bagel and I get to choose the winner.
Yeah, it's simple enough.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Send us a description of your favorite motorcycle movie and why.
Very simple, because, we talked about this earlier, and I said, what kind of competition? So it's the easiest thing in the world. You want to go and see a motorcycle movie? Tell us, what is your favorite motorcycle movie and why do you like it? Bonus points if anybody picks Little Faust and Big Halsey as their favorite movie, that will immediately... No.
That's why you're not a
Does
judge.
it have to be a motorcycle movie or a movie with motorcycles in it?
I want a motorcycle movie.
Yeah, I think a motorcycle.
Wild Hogs.
Yeah, Wild
Okay.
Hog.
All you have to do is send that to motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com and put Fast Way Round in the title with your favorite movie and why.
And are we going to include the Charlie Borman, Ewan McGregor movies in that? I think we should.
That's technically a TV series, not a movie.
I know, but, I think...
A movie. I want a movie.
You actually want a movie, and there's plenty of motorcycle movies out there.
I want a movie. And then I have one other quick announcement to make for my UK buddies out there. Mike, I hope you're listening. I am going to be at the Ace Cafe. Yes, that Ace Cafe in London on January 24th.
Dress warm.
From, I think, like 12 to 4, 12 to 5, something like that. I'll be there for a Wur event, but come out. Anyone can come out. Come out and say hi. Come get some nice cafe food. They'll throw peas on whatever you want. Ugh. I hate the peas. But no, come on out to the Ace Cafe. Would love to say hi to you. Going back to movies, though. Emma, we got a few minutes until our guest joins us.
Yes.
And John and I were chatting in the garage, and we had an interesting question. It doesn't have to be a movie, but it could be. And this is for everyone here. If you could go for a motorcycle ride with any iconic motorcycle figure, dead or alive,
Oh, gosh.
Who would you go for a ride with?
Now, on the same bike or kind of alongside?
Well, I actually was thinking, like, if you could ride on the back of somebody's bike, who would it? But no, alongside. Unless there are two different answers and you want to say both. But I was like, the opportunity to ride, like, either on the back of Evel Knievel's bike or with Evel Knievel, shut up. I mean, come on. But then again, I don't know that I want to ride with Evel Knievel. I don't think I could. I don't think I could.
Jumping over how many school buses?
I don't think I could.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, there's no guarantee you wouldn't wreck.
So if you could just go for a ride, go out for a little lunch ride with any iconic motorcycle figure, dead or alive, who would it be? I mean, I think I would say Evel Knievel, because just for the photo op, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and I'll throw in a caveat. You can ride one of their famous bikes in this famous bike ride scenario.
Oh, I see.
Ooh, so if I could ride with Evel Knievel and I could be riding one of his like Triumphs or Harleys, the XR750. Yeah, done. That's mine. Locked in. Next. Who do you got, Emma?
You know, I think
you could do a lap with.
No, I think it would be
Barry Sheen.
Just lovely. I'm not going to say Barry Sheen because that would be the obvious one. I think, if when Moto America is at Laguna Seca, and you remember that Rossi always used to come down to Cannery Row and do the Ducati, and he'd lead the Ducati riders. You remember that from a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it would be just lovely if we could go back in time and get Wes Coley to do that with all the Suzuki riders. And just go for a ride with Wes. But Suzuki only. If you don't have a Suzuki, you can't go riding. So I think, I think that'd be my choice.
So would you want a Wes Cooley replica or one of the original?
I think one of the originals.
That's pretty cool. Wes Cooley, and would this be on the track or on the street?
Both.
Okay.
But I mean, Wes was primarily a track rider. But yeah, doing a lap of Laguna with Wes on vintage Suzukis. Yeah, that'd be the greatest. How could that not be?
Yeah, I agree. All right, John.
I'm thinking for the pure historical value, I'd like to go on a ride with Mr. Davison. Whoever
Oh,
yeah.
You mean the brothers?
Yeah, one of the brothers.
Why? How about all of them?
Sure, I'll take all of them. But to be able to ride one of those bikes with somebody like that who had that kind of excitement
But no one at the time knew how exciting that was. Like, so you'd have to time travel.
Yeah, have to time travel back.
Ooh, time travel.
Yeah.
And to ride a vintage Harley-Davidson early on.
With the Davisons.
And Mr. Harley. What's his name? Bob? Joe?
Well, Willie's the son, right?
Well, that's
right. Willie G's the son.
What was Harley?
Pops.
Probably one of those weird
I think his first name was Marley, wasn't it?
Marley
weird
Harley.
old Victorian names like Virgil.
Cecil.
Oh, God.
Okay, that's pretty. That'd be a good photo op.
Mm-hmm.
Bagel, who are you going with?
God, I was not prepared for this. I mean, there are. Can you? Is there anybody else who hasn't gone yet?
What, you want me to go again?
Well, I'm just. I need a few more minutes to think about this because there's a. I don't know. There's a lot of.
All right, let's help him out. Bagel, what if you could ride with Punch and John down the freeway in chips?
No, because riding side by side makes me really, really.
Oh,
really
okay. You could be the chasing you. You're the bad guy, and you're escaping on the Vespa, and they can't catch you.
I'll fit through all the narrow alleys that their big Kawasaki's can't make it
That could
through.
be kind of pretty cool, right?
Yeah, hooligan ride with chips. Okay, all right, we'll do that.
That was just my first one.
Actually, hooligan ride with chips through San Francisco.
How about somebody who was known to ride How about if you could go ride with Bob Dylan or Katharine Hepburn on the back of your scooter?
Ooh, or Bessie Stringfield.
These are all choices.
I mean, she was a hell of a rider, right? And I like long distance riding, so you know.
Or Elvis.
Yeah.
Nah, I'd rather ride with Bessie.
I mean, oh, dude. Okay, I've got it. What if you were riding with Peter Fonda?
Captain America?
Yeah, the Captain America and the Billy bike, right? An Easy Rider. What if they fit in an extra rider on a Vespa, and you did that cross country trip in Easy Rider with them?
I could see that.
See, you just got to think about what would be.
But I'd be like coming up like an hour and a half later after they get there at the campsite, and like, you know, be getting there after dark and trying to set up my tent, you know. They'd be rolling their eyes at me.
I think this is something I want to hear from listeners about, right?
I think it'd be good. Yeah.
Call it Fantasy Ride. Send us your email, motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com. I want to know what iconic person you would go ride with. I mean, you guys, I'm sitting here thinking, what if you could go ride a John Britton?
Ooh. Wow.
What if you could ride with Prince in the Purple Rain bike?
I just imagining you on the back of Prince's bike, John.
Or something that could have actually been a possibility if I had known and been available. Was it the Fine Young Cannibals video? Was it Good Thing, where they had all the scooters in it?
Oh yeah.
That was like a whole bunch of people from scooter clubs, I think, in Southern California, and and like just as extras in the video.
Yeah, I mean, you could have starred in the film Quadrophenia, Bagel.
I would have been a little young for that, I think.
Yeah, but nevertheless.
I would have been one of the kids on the beach who was terrified, maybe.
Well, I mean, there's when you really think about, like, wouldn't it be fun to like slide yourself into a movie or go back in time and ride with anyone? I mean, there's so many. I mean,
Steve McQueen.
Oh my gosh. To be riding with Steve and Malcolm and Mert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that scene.
Yep. On the beach.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I would like to know what our guest would say, who has no idea what the question is because he just popped in. So let me get to introducing our guest, Billy Choi. Hey, Billy, are you there?
I'm here, Liza. How are you?
Hey, good to see you. Hey, you're here with Bagel and John and Miss Emma on the couch.
Hi, Billy.
And you've got an interesting story that I can't wait to get into because it's not something we've talked about. But before we get into it, I want to ask you, if you could go do a ride with any iconic motorcyclist, dead or alive, fictional or real, and go for a ride with them, who would you go for a ride with?
I'm extremely biased, but I'm going to have to go with my guy, Shrimp Burns.
Yeah, that was just, that was a
shameless
softball
plug,
right there.
I was going to say, and that comes as no surprise to anyone in this room, I think. And right now, probably every single one of our listeners are going, who the heck is Shrimp Burns?
There you
and
go.
I'm hoping you're going to tell us not only who he is, but what he did, why he did it, and your interest in it.
Yeah, and in fact, when I got an email about your story and wanting to come on our show, it really interested me because, Billy, I don't know if you know much about us, but we've got over 650 episodes. We've been talking about everything two wheels, but something we've never talked about is, as you said, the murderdrome. Like the old board track racing. I mean, it's such an iconic thing, and we've never talked about it. And this is something you know a lot about, don't you?
Absolutely, and that's why I'm here. And I
So,
did.
yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I did do a little bit of due diligence. Obviously, I want to know who I'm speaking with, just out of respect for you guys. So I do know you guys have a large following. You've been around. You're in Santa Cruz, beautiful place, not too far from me. I'm in Ventura County, Los Angeles.
Nice.
Yep. So it's literally a travesty, not only about the motorcycle community, their lack of knowledge about the situation, but just in general.
Yeah.
And I'm the same as you guys. I'm the same as everybody else. I knew nothing about it. And when we get to it, I'll give you the genesis of how the story came about. But most people's preconceived notion, including mine, you know, not to any fault of our own, is that maybe it was James Dean. You guys mentioned Steve McQueen. That's kind of where this thing started. People really haven't dug into it, right? But it turns out that there's a whole history there, and it's a very extensive history, and it's a very important history, not only on the motorcycle front, which you guys are experts on, but just American history in general. And that's what made me so passionate and makes me so passionate about talking about this story. So I will just say, first of all, I'm not claiming to be a motorcycle guy, because I'm not. I have a motorcycle license, which I got during my midlife crisis, but I never pulled the trigger. I never got a bike, right? So I don't even ride. So, you guys are the experts. I'm no expert. But in terms of the history of it and in terms of storytelling, that's where my expertise comes in. And that's where we can help each other to enlighten not only your community and your followers, but just people in general as to the importance of this historical knowledge.
So I'll tell you everything I know about board track racing. All I know is that
there were boards.
No, there were boards. That it came from velodrome bicycle racing, which was very huge, and that the bicycles had to be hauled up to speed with motorcycles to get them up to speed. And then people started taking the motorcycles out there, and then that became its own thing. Does that sound right? Is that where this came from?
You're in the realm, and I'm surprised you know that, because 99% of people don't know that. So you're absolutely right. It started with the velodromes, which was designed by a gentleman named Jack Prince, who was a former European champion cyclist. And he came over here. He tag teamed with this gentleman named Frederick Moskowitz, who was a German engineer for Mercedes at the time. And they partnered with certain financiers, one of them being a famous oil tycoon from Los Angeles, whose name was Frank Garbett, who was a racing enthusiast. So you kind of had this perfect storm of these three figures. And I'm sure there were other people involved, but those are the three main figures that I researched. And Jack came up with the velodrome idea. And then he had the help of Frank with the financing, and they started building motordromes. One of the earliest ones was in Beverly Hills, where the Beverly Hills Hotel stands now. The famous Beverly Hills Hotel, where they have the Oscar parties and stuff. Little do these people know, their livelihood depends on entertainment, but little do they know the actual form of entertainment or the genesis of the entertainment industry. And they're standing on top of literally history, and they don't even know that, right? So as Liza was saying, it was based on the velodrome, but the early motorcycles, which were merely bicycles with, single cylinder engines attached to them. That's what they were. So they actually had pedals. So they would pedal their way up to speed, and there were no brakes. There were no gears. They basically had a stop button to kill the engine, and they would let inertia stop them. They would sit up, and then the draft would slow them down. So that's what these motordrome board tracks, they were based on these velodromes, and they had these insane angles. You've seen them 50 to 60 degrees where these guys were pretty much they were pretty much sideways.
So before we go too much further, to put this into perspective, what sort of time frame are we talking about here? So obviously it's 20th century, but very early 20th century. When was the first velodrome? When was the first motordrome?
That's a great question. So let me just, if I may backtrack just a little bit. Late 1800s, you had the advent of the bicycle, mainly in the Northeast. Starting over from Europe, it crossed over to Massachusetts. You had Waltham, and the bicycles went crazy. to the people of the time, if you're going 20, 30 miles per hour with no assistance, that's approaching like, supersonic speed for their context, right? So the bicycles went crazy, and then a bunch of, wild boys decided to attach these engines to them, right? So that was turn of the century-ish, late 1890s. And then the first tracks you started seeing early 1900s. And then the motordrome got going around 1910 towards latter 1920, when they were abolished because of the deaths and the violence and the injuries to the spectators as well, not just the racers. Spectators, were getting killed left and right as well. So that's kind of the, simplistic timeline for motordromes.
Okay.
Interesting. And so how did you come to fall into this?
Well, that has a genesis story as well. I'm an actor and moved over to LA from New York. The acting, typically like everybody else, it's a struggle. It's not as easy as you think, right? You're not as great as you think you are, right? Of course. So, you have the people whispering in your ear, write your own stuff, right? Like, and I've never written anything before. So mainly it was just blind ignorance, which could wind up being a pretty powerful force if you allow it to. So I said, yeah, I can write, just like the acting. It was just like, yeah, I can act. I never acted before. What made me think I can act? I don't know, right? So they said, you have to write your own story. These guys are not going to cast you. You have all sorts of, racial issues, typecasting. There aren't many parts for Asians. At the time when I was trying to break in, there were even less roles for Asian people, which was about 20 years ago or whatever. It was like, write your own stuff, right? Make it a story about, Korean immigrants or something or whatever, right? So I said, okay. But as I did that, and that just kind of planted the seed, I just had like a vision of what I thought motorcycle racing was, or how it started. And in my imagination, I pictured those round spears that they had in those ancient circuses where the one guy in the motorcycle goes around, that thing?
The ball of death.
Exactly. So that's what I thought it was. And then when I did a little bit of research, I saw that wasn't what it was at all. And then that's what got me into the rabbit hole. That was me peeking my head into the rabbit hole. And one thing led to another when I started finding out, these incredible stories, the violence, etc. And then I honed in on Albert Burns, nicknamed Shrimp, when the few details about his life emerged. And I was like, wow, this guy was actually a hero. This guy was kind of like Babe Ruth before Babe Ruth. This guy is kind of like Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan. There's a genesis to everything. There's always a backstory to everything. And that's what got me interested. And that started me off on the research path, which eventually led to the outline. And then it led to the screenplay, which eventually led to the book. Most people will start with the book first. They'll read someone else's book and say, hey, this can be a great screenplay. Let me write a script based on this book. But I kind of went backwards.
I'm looking at a picture that you sent us of a shrimp on a motorcycle, and he looks slightly demented.
I was going to say, he's, I think the best way to describe it, he has quite a focused expression. So you're absolutely right that this is a very overlooked part of history. And I think it's quite easy to see the reason for that. I mean, it was outlawed in 1920. So well over 100 years has gone past since the last motordrome race was run. Let's talk about what was expected, how many riders were on the track, what the tracks were like, and what kind of speeds they were doing on them. Because all of this will help paint a picture of what made this so dangerous. Because believe me, to outlaw something in 1920 had to be pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The motordromes in general were typically 7 miles in terms of the race length.
That's a lot of wood.
Yeah.
Seven miles?
Yeah.
Wow.
In terms of the distance they would cover per race.
Oh, okay.
Per race,
yeah,
not per lap.
not the actual
Besides
Not the
track,
lap, yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly. So
Okay.
you can do the math there. I believe each I mean, it varies, of course, like everything else. But if they did about 20 laps, you can do the math on approximately what the length would be. There are pictures out there, and some of them were really huge.
Okay, and is this an oval track?
It is an oval track with the angles, just like a
so
cycling.
It's got bank turns.
Exactly.
Okay, and
exactly.
How many motorcycles would you expect in an average race?
You could have anywhere from 8 to 20 racers, depending on the race.
Okay, so a good field, and these are custom-made bikes for board track racing.
Well, I don't know if you call them custom made for board track racing, because early on, particularly Shrimp, it was just stuff that they pasted together. He happened to work in a motorcycle shop, and they actually made fun of him for having such a, kind of a homemade type of home. They called it homebrew in the archives. He just patched things together, and he made it work, and he actually won races with these bikes. Yep. But even that evolved where you had big players like Harley-Davidson and Indian. They started giving, bikes like sponsorships to star racers. So you had all different levels of bikes.
Well, the mantra for manufacturers, both cars and bikes, has always been, if you win on Sunday, you're going to sell on Monday. And so that makes sense as to why the manufacturers were involved in any form of racing. But of course, this is very, very early 20th century, so these are the single-cylinder bikes. What kind of speeds were these things getting up to on these tracks? I should imagine if you're getting a bicycle up to 30 miles an hour, I should imagine these machines were going considerably faster.
Yeah, they went up to 104, 105 miles per hour.
With no brakes.
No brakes, no gears, no safety equipment, no helmets, leather gloves, leather helmet, if that. Some of them didn't even wear goggles.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, in Newark, New Jersey in 1912, front page of the New York Times, it was Murderdrome, which Liza said earlier, right? Yeah. Obviously a play on words. A star racer, young guy named Eddie Hasha, he crashed. He went over the railing into the crowd. He passed away. His bike hit another racer's shoulder named Johnny Albright, and he passed away. And six altogether, including the racers, but 4 young boys, aged 12 to 17. The young guys, they like to sit in the front. They like the excitement. Mm-hmm. These guys, unfortunately, passed away as well. Eddie Hasha was going 92 miles per hour at the time, and this was early. This was 1912.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the spectators were very, very close to the track, very much right at the track. And of course, back then, people's idea of what constituted a safe crash barrier was probably very rudimentary, if there indeed were any.
Exactly. And obviously, we have architecture design that evolves as well. That's a concurrent backstory or layer to the story as well. So you're right. They just kind of crammed towards the rail. There was no elevated, theater seating or anything like that. So you just had a bunch of people who got as close as they can to the action, right?
And they were the railing.
Exactly. Yeah. Pretty much.
It's a human wall.
Yeah. If you look at some of these pictures that anybody can Google, you'll see, right? And it wasn't just men; it was women too. So it was it was the national pastime. You had crowds as big as 20,000 going to some of these races at the height, and they were nationally located. It wasn't just California. It wasn't just New York or Newark. They had them in Ohio. They had them in Kansas. They had them all over the place.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. This wasn't a regional thing. This was throughout America.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yep. Even Kentucky.
It makes sense. I mean, it's our version of track racing now, but for the spectators, you can look down in and see them go right by. It makes sense. And I know that, like I said, the bicycle velodrome racing is huge. So this is just that followed on the heels of that. But these bikes, when we're looking at these bikes now, at the time, Emma, they weren't making bikes specifically for racing. You just had a bike and then you modified it, right?
Well, I mean, it's the mantra for racing has always been the same. The more power you can get out of the engine and the more weight you can get out of the chassis,
Right.
the quicker you're going to go. It's that delicious combination of power to weight ratio, and there's no escaping it. So if you look at a board track bike as any other race bike of the time, it's a stripped down lightweight model. Obviously, someone decided they didn't need brakes, so there's no brakes. I'm sure there are modifications done to the engine to give it a little more power. And of course, if you're going that speed, having the rider prone on the bike is very desirable. So the handlebars are very, very dropped handlebars to make sure that the rider is as low as possible. So that's pretty much it.
So you said some of these racers were becoming celebrities, yeah?
They weren't becoming; they were full-fledged celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
They had land speed records. A gentleman named Otto Walker, who rode for Harley-Davidson, was a big superstar. Shrimp was arguably the biggest star of his day. You know, also due to his riding style, his age. He started when he was 15, right? His diminutive stature. In a particular race, he crashed and he came back to race again. You know, they had multiple races a day and he won the race. And after the race, friends, you know, nudged him to go see a doctor, and he had a fractured collarbone and like a dislocated shoulder.
Oh,
It was
God.
these types of things that made him a superstar. All right. And it's this type of information that's out there in the public domain, which isn't much,
Right.
that really inspired me to write about it.
Now, did that translate to wealth? I mean,
Yeah.
there was a lot less money around at the turn of the century, but would you suggest that with all this fame, and did that translate to fortune as well? Were these well-paid racers, or did they
They
lead
were
ordinary lives?
They were very well paid. I don't know if you call it wealth. Everything's relative. But if you look at the context of the time, Shrimp grew up in Oakland, shipyards, warehouses, manufacturing. And I would imagine it's kind of similar for the other racers, young guys. You know, what's the alternative? You make a few nickels a day or whatever it may be, or you can make $50 a race, which to them is probably upwards or north of $10,000. So they kind of didn't have a choice in their minds, because who wants to stay, 14 hours in a hot factory,
Right.
breaking your back, and you have this alternative, which isn't too different from today, right? You have all these guys trying to become professional basketball or baseball players or whatever sport.
You know, I was going to say a life of working class servitude is often a powerful motivator to try and escape it. And that can be through sport, can be through music. You know, a lot of the greatest musicians come from very, very tough working class neighborhoods for a reason. I mean, and they cite there is no greater motivator than poverty and trying to escape it. So
I agree.
So you said, so these were big celebrities, 20,000 people going to the races. I'm guessing that this was making sales. What were the brands that we're seeing out there at the time?
Brands, you had the obvious motorcycles. You had Excelsior. I believe you had Schwinn, Harley-Davidson, Indian, as I mentioned. And then you had whoever was around at the time, Coca-Cola, pharmaceutical companies, food companies. A lot of them are still around today, funny enough.
All offering sponsorship and, putting their names on bikes because, if a bike with Coca-Cola on the side won the race, I'm quite sure that a lot of people during the break or the next day would go to the soda stand and get a bunch of Coca-Cola.
Absolutely.
That's the way advertising works.
Absolutely. It's no different from today. And they did have a good, solid decade to, formulate their pitches and their, advertising campaigns or whatever. So I would imagine it's they had everything that we have today.
Now, Liza asked me a very interesting question, and I'm going earlier on. And I struggled for an answer then. It's kind of come to me a little bit later, and I'll pitch both the question and my answer to you and see if you agree. Liza said, what do you think board racing has metamorphosized in today? And we came up with the usual speedway and flat track and stuff like that. And I don't think that's true in either case. I think the closest we can get now to a board track racing experience is the Wall of Death. And I think if we examine the Wall of Death, the track is very similar in that it's wood.
And the bikes.
The bikes are very, very similar. And the proximity to the racers are very, very similar. The difference, of course, between Wall of Death and board racing is the track is immeasurably smaller. And, of course, the banking has now become completely vertical. I don't know how you feel about that comparison. I think that may be the closest we, as modern spectators, can get to that experience, perhaps. Have you ever been to a Wall of Death race?
I have not, and that was my next thing. I was going to ask you to enlighten me a little bit about
it's not a race. It's not a
yeah.
race.
Yeah, it's not a race. It's really more of an exhibition.
It's a room. It's like a barrel, and they go around on the wall.
So if you imagine a barrel that is 100 feet diameter, 50 feet diameter, 100 feet diameter.
No, I don't think it's that big.
No.
Maybe 60. 50, 60
Maybe
feet
30.
diameter.
Maybe 30, yeah.
Yeah,
30
with
feet.
vertical sides. And they use vintage Indians, and they ride around in a circle at the bottom and then just hoik themselves up on the wall. And, of course, gravity holds them onto the wall. The walls are made out of wood. And they just go round and round and round and round. And the spectators, you are standing on a gantry at the open end at the top of the barrel, looking down on these racers. And they get very, very close to you indeed. And I should think, I don't know, I mean,
See, I kind of think in terms of danger to spectators, danger to the riders, and just kind of lawlessness, I think Isle of Man or Irish road racing
Maybe.
is close.
It's very, very difficult to find a genre that would be its equal today. And it's clear it's dangerous. The one thing we haven't talked about, Billy, is the state of the track, because these were manufactured wooden tracks. Did the tracks ever start coming up and almost getting destroyed within a race and causing crashes?
In my story, that's throughout the entire story. Of course, I took liberties. I didn't find many specific instances, but these were board tracks. They dried, they rotted, they warped.
Right.
So I don't see how it didn't affect the races.
Yeah, I mean, if you're riding at 100 miles an hour plus on wooden boards that are open to the elements, I am quite certain that you might find a missing plank, which of course would be catastrophic.
Yeah, but you can just
race.
replace those.
Yeah, but during a race.
I don't
When
know.
it becomes loose.
Yes, it becomes loose, and then, you're following on, and suddenly you find an L where the track should be.
100%. And you and I think along the same lines, because I have probably 3 or 4 references of the track being, of consequence during races, people crashing because of a warped plank. So I think you're absolutely right.
So we talked about this catastrophic accident where 4 young people were killed. And anytime a child is killed, it's obviously, it's a very, very big story. But there's catalogues of people getting injured and killed at these tracks. Was that, in your research, the worst accident? Or in terms of just body counts from a single incident, are the worst examples?
You must have Emma, some telepathic stuff going on, because I was, dying to tell this next one, and you just
asked. Thank you. Okay,
thank you. Yeah, I will say, Ludlow, Kentucky.
Okay,
and I'm not smiling about the accident. Obviously, it's terrible, but 35 injuries, 8 deaths.
Ooh.
A racer named Odin Johnson crashed into a light pole. So yes, there was a light pole somewhere along the track somewhere.
Oh man.
His gas tank flew loose and just spread gas all over the place and burned and maimed people. Obviously, he passed away. And that was the worst accident documented. 35 injuries, maybe a dozen deaths, because at the time it said 8 dead and more dying was the words in the article. So that was the worst documented that I've seen. And I believe that is the worst one.
And
but New York,
we tend to become perhaps a little flippant about injuries. Well, at least they didn't die. But you're probably talking about catastrophic, life-changing injuries as well. If you get brained by a burning motorcycle gas tank, I think that's going to be the end of a normal life for you and anyone around you. So of that 35, you would probably find a huge percentage of them didn't lead a normal life after that.
Yeah, it's a great point. And obviously medical technology wasn't what it is now. So a lot of the times an injury that today may not be as big of a deal could literally lead to somebody passing away.
Right.
So yeah, and I don't think many of these publications followed up on the situation. They want to give the sensationalist, front page thing.
Yes,
but
of course.
Who knows how many people? It could have been 60 people who eventually passed away. We don't know.
So I did my very thorough AI research. And just to give us an idea of the board tracks, said that the first was in 1909 in Los Angeles. And by 1929, there were at least 24 in operation around the country, though their numbers declined rapidly due to high maintenance costs and dangerous conditions.
Right.
And most were gone by 1931.
Yes. Sounds about right.
Well, that was also the Depression.
Right.
Well, yeah. But it sounds like this is something that just had a real quick peak and growth and then gone. And it's what I find interesting about this, and something interested me by having you on, is this was huge. As you said, this was huge. These were celebrities. But it hasn't carried on to today in style, like cafe racers and flat trackers and bobbers, which are styles that come and go in and out of fashion over and over and over, except for board track racers, which is a certain style.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see that carried on, with the exception, I know one bike that's being made today that I believe receives the styling from board track racers. Do you know what it is?
You're going to say the Janus, but I don't agree with you.
I'm going to say the Janus, and I think you will agree with me when I show you what it looks like.
No, that's just a vintage bike. I mean, it's got a board track kind of gas tank on it, but it's got brakes. And I mean,
but it's a style. I'm
yeah.
just talking about a style.
And I mean, it's very, very hard to duplicate a style of bikes. Oh, well, they had no brakes. Well, I don't recommend anybody building a bike with no brakes. Not in 2025. But yeah, I mean, maybe.
Right. It's not a replica board racer. It's just a board racer looking motorcycle.
Yeah, that's my point. Style. Yeah. But I'd like to know, so Billy, Indian and Harley-Davidson, both still around today. And we know throughout the years about their rivalry. What was the rivalry like in board track racing? Who was dominating?
It was kind of neck and neck. At one point, Indian was kind of taking the lead. They had a bunch of great racers, Bob Perry, Gene Walker, a bunch of other guys. Then kind of Harley would peek their head up. But the turning point really was World War I. And I don't know how this happened, but Harley became the preeminent company once they got the contract from the United States.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
To supply them. And that's what made them who they are today.
Right.
But it was kind of that struggle. And that's an interesting backstory as well.
They cheated.
And funnily enough, Billy, and this is probably a piece of history that you don't know, exactly the same thing happened in the Second World War. An Indian really had throughout the late 1920s and early 1930s, Indian got something of a recovery, and they did very, very well with police contracts because they got 4-cylinder bikes from the Hendy Corporation and actually were building 4-cylinder bikes which were very favored with police forces. But in a repeat of the First World War, they had a terrible Second World War. Harley-Davidson got the volume contracts. Indian, who were seen as the engineers, got the weird stuff. Well, we want you to do this and this and this and this and this, which eventually amounted to nothing. And then Indian kind of struggled for a few years after the war, but were really seen as very, very dated because they didn't have the financial clout of Harley. And it took them many, many years to recover. And the Indians we see now, really, it's very hard to put lineage back then. There's quite a big gap between the mid-50s and when Indian came back.
Let's come back a couple times.
Yeah, a couple of times. I mean, really.
Theoretically.
Yeah, 2000 was when they came back in Gilroy. So it's funny that you mention World War One because exactly the same thing happened in World War Two. So,
okay.
I
didn't know that. I appreciate you letting me know.
Yeah, it was, and again, it was simple volume. Harley-Davidson had a very, very basic product, the WLA 45, which was bought in millions by the US Army, and of course very profitable because it was a simple bike. Meanwhile, the Army wanted a requirement for a V-twin motorcycle with a shaft drive, with all-weather, with this. And they reached out to Indian and said, can you provide us with this? And so Indian had spent millions developing this thing. And then the Army's, well, no, we like our Harley-Davidson. So that's kind of how it went for them.
Wow.
I have a question, Billy.
Sure.
Now, it seems like the board track racing had its real peak during the Roaring '20s. And maybe part of that roaring was the roaring of the engines as well. But I'm wondering if part of what made that phenomenon was that a lot of people were investing money into it back then. You mentioned that there was a lot of advertisement, but was there any sort of speculation on racetracks or other things that kind of were building up this business that then crashed as part of the Great Depression?
That's a great question, and I believe so. It's actually part of my story as well. Frank Garbutt, who I mentioned from Los Angeles, he actually built a large portion of Los Angeles. He was an oil magnate, race enthusiast. He had something called the Pacific Electric Railway. So that I incorporated into the story. There weren't many details that I found on that, but I used that as part of the business aspect or the conglomerate where he's connecting these national board tracks via train. So
wow,
we're thinking along the same lines. I mean, why wouldn't they do it, right? So
yeah,
I believe so.
Okay, interesting.
Where there's a dollar to be made, right? They're gonna
Right.
they're gonna do what they have to do. And another thing I wanted to mention, this came later in my research, pretty much after I wrote the book, but I realized these guys were nuts, right? Not only not only the racers, right? But the fans.
Oh yeah.
Because in my book, when they see somebody crash into the stands, what I envisioned was not, oh my goodness, let me hide. I saw, yeah, right?
Oh, it's the same with NASCAR today. Come on.
Right.
Exactly. So I was like, where did these people come from? What's wrong with these people, right? So it turns out, okay, wait, you had something called the gold rush in the mid 1800s, right? California was empty pretty much other than the natives who lived here. I believe there were about 300,000 natives here. As far as outsiders, possibly 20 to 30,000 are the estimates. And then you had the gold rush and all hell breaks loose. So I was like, these people are the offspring of the gold rush people. So this kind of makes sense.
Right, which was only 60 years before that,
Exactly. So this kind of makes sense, It's like if you look at me, I'm the offspring of Korean immigrants. My parents, they had their whole backstory. They went through the imperialism stuff. They went through the Korean War. They didn't have much when they grew up. So they made a decision in their early adulthood with 2 young children to come to a foreign country, not speaking the language, knowing a few people, not knowing anything, only hearing whispers of riches and success. And they made the decision to fly all the way over here and try to make a way of it. And I'm the offspring of that. So it's not surprising that a guy like me would be like, hey, I could write a script, and I've never wrote a script before.
People who took a chance.
There you go. So that's kind of the genesis of that. And to touch on what you were saying earlier, Liza, the style, you don't really see the board track style because styles come and go. But as far as the spirit is concerned, across the board, motorcycling, the spirit was started from these gentlemen in the early 1900s.
Oh, I agree there. And that's an easy lineage to trace.
There you go.
It really is.
I mean, this is the earliest motorcycle racing, right?
Oh, by far.
This is at the birth of
this is the birth of motorcycle racing as we know it. This goes back to the genesis of motorcycles. They always joke. The first motorcycle race came about when somebody built the second motorcycle. And it really goes back to those very, very early times. I mean, we owe these men and women a huge debt of gratitude.
100%.
There's something that has been largely forgotten.
100%.
And what do you really attribute that to? Just time, do you think? Because, if it really was in decline in the 20s, 100 years have gone by, and do you think it's a chapter that America wanted to close the door on, or because of the accident rate, because of perhaps it was seen as a little rebellious? Or do you think it's just a matter of time is the reason it was forgotten?
Oh, that's a kind of a heavy question, but I think they just, they didn't like the image of it. Obviously, you mentioned kids passing away, things like that. So they transitioned it. If you look at the NFL today, you have guys with CTE, offing themselves. You have all types of depression, mental issues, violence. You see regularly domestic violence situations with these young guys. These are all indications that something's off. But of course, the powers that be, whether that be the NFL or the other people who benefit from it, whether that be government entities or whatever, they're going to try to keep that under wraps, right? Until finally the lid gets blown off, and then they'll just transition it to another sport or whatever medium. So I think that's kind of what happened. And I think, like, as you know, the Newark situation where 6 people passed away, you have the Kentucky situation, which was a year later only. That was early on. They still kept it going, like Liza said, till 29, till 30, right? Mm-hmm. So right then and there, they already saw the signs of what this really was, but they kept it going. That means there were forces behind that. They kept building, they kept expanding. Other, like I said, the railway and whatever sponsorships, they all, they had mortgages to pay, and they kept it going. And that's just how it goes. And you have the same thing today.
Yeah, and also there early on in motorcycling, there weren't that many options as far as racing, right? Is the board tracks were sort of a natural option because that was a hard track where you could go fast on it. Other options, I imagine, were probably just dirt or possibly like street racing in some places, but I don't even think there were a lot of paved streets back then, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was going to touch on that earlier, but yeah, in terms of the types of racing that Emma asked about, there was dirt racing. That was very prominent, prevalent as well. So that was another thing.
Yeah. And that doesn't require nearly as much maintenance. So during the Depression, that could continue with, lower maintenance cost, to get through the hard times, whereas, board tracks couldn't be kept up. So yeah, it makes sense how that changed. And then I'm sure other sports, motorcycle sports developed, like hill climbs, other things as well.
But there's always speed and there's track. I think that it was the wooden track became too much to maintain. And then I don't think they had quite yet then developed like concrete or asphalt, those kind of materials, but those were coming around. So I think just the track itself changed. I mean, Laguna Seca's how old, Emma? Like 40s? I mean,
50s, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's immediately post-war, so
I mean, we're right at that cusp where I think building materials change. I would like to go back to Shrimp, who is why did you choose this one racer to really focus on and telling the story of this era?
Sounds corny, but what can I do but tell the truth? I didn't choose him; he chose me.
Okay.
I didn't sit there and say, "Oh yeah, what a great era! This is crazy. Let me find a racer that I can write about." None of this was planned, or it was just random stuff. And he just the few facts about him in the public domain just cried out to me. Some of the things that I told you. Another thing was he was born in Oakdale, California, which is near Oakland. His family moved to Oakland when he was young. When he was about 10 years old, a local Pope motorcycle dealership opened up around the corner, and he was shooed away every day was the words in Daniel Statnikoff's article, right? That's another interesting thing, right? And then all of a sudden, the guy, the owner of the shop relents and hires him when he's 12 years old.
Nice.
It's just, this is the story. The story kind of came to me. I didn't,
Right.
I just kind of filled in the blanks. And then he just throws together a bike, at the age of 14, he enters his first race in Sacramento where he places. And then he starts literally winning races after that. And then I told you about his racing style, reckless, hug the inside, doesn't slow down on these crazy turns. People, the other racers started calling him Shrimp because he was so tiny, et cetera, et cetera. The story it was obvious to me, like, this guy's a real American hero.
You know whose story mirrors that?
Who?
Hanging out at a shop, got a job early, got into racing. Lyle Lovett.
Really?
Yes, with Penton. He worked for Penton, John Penton. But Lyle Lovett, I think when he was like 14 or something, just hanging out and working for him. Yeah, same kind of story. Somebody who just so wanted to be a part of that they just were there, just a presence there. Interesting.
Is this Lyle Lovett, the musician?
Yes, the musician.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a pretty avid writer, I think, right?
Yep.
Wow.
He is. Yeah, I've been trying to get him on our show to talk about his history, but he's always touring. It's very hard to.
But anyway, meanwhile to Shrimp, so he had a very successful career.
Yes.
And he beat the big factory racers.
At a time until he joined them, but he also left again. But yes, continue. Yeah.
Okay. And what became of him?
Unfortunately, in 1921, he passed away during a race in Toledo. His few days before his 23rd birthday. Ironically enough, I don't believe it was a motordrome track. I think it was one of those flat races, and he wasn't even going that fast. And he passed away at the age of 22. His fiance was there to celebrate his birthday. And again, you can't make this stuff up. He had promised her that this was going to be his last race.
Oh man.
And this is in the public domain. I didn't make that up.
Wow.
Yeah. So as I said, the story, reached out to me. I did take liberties, and I give that in the disclaimer during the process of writing the book. But these facts that I'm telling you are factual public domain tidbits.
And 100 years have passed, and we don't know the complete truth anyway. So to tell a story, and to tell a compelling story, even if you had to flesh it out a bit, you're being very respectful to his memory, and you're keeping this young man's memory alive to a generation of people who would otherwise not know him. So, yeah, there's no shame in that at all.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. I appreciate that. And that's what I want to highlight here. I don't come here pretending to be a motorcycle guy because I'm not, right? And we talked about style, we talked about the genesis, we talked about the history, but there's things that transcend athletes, there's things that transcend motorcycles. And really what this story is about is that spirit.
Right.
The people who gave everything up and risked everything for the gold rush to come here. Those people, you know, it's really about that spirit that's continuing. And that's, if you want to kind of say, that's the American spirit. That's what we're kind of all about, right?
Cowboys.
Right.
And I mean,
I've said it many times on the podcast before. I mean, ultimately, motorcycles are just machines. It's just metal and rubber screwed together. But what makes it so compelling is the human element. And when you add the human element into this or any other story, that's what makes it so interesting. And that's what breathes life into it. Because a motorcycle, like any other vehicle, is static, is dead, until you add the human element, until you add the rider, and it comes to life. And it propels you to be able to do things that you can't just on your own. I mean, you can go as fast as you want. You can experience this amazing sensation as close to raw elements as any other mode of transportation. I mean, we as motorcyclists have this amazing experience that the motorcycle is really just a tool for us to be able to do that. Ultimately, it's a story of people. It's the human story. And I think that's what makes this so interesting. It's the human story.
Absolutely. And if I may take liberties to guess, I would say one of the key words as riders would be freedom, right?
Of course.
That sense of freedom. I kind of got a taste of it during the training to get my motorcycle license, going 25 miles per hour in a Yamaha V-Star, right? 250 cc's around a parking lot. But even then, I kind of tasted it, right? But yeah, that's what it represents. It represents freedom, the American spirit to move forward against all odds.
Right.
We can imagine what type of mental state these people were in at that time of history. I would imagine the lifespans are much shorter. There isn't much to look forward to. We talked about the industrial nature and the factories and things like that. So this was the start of that spirit of freedom that motorcycle racers today or riders today chase, and why they're so passionate about it. So I think that's an important angle.
I have a question about how you did the research. You can't just go on the internet and Google stuff. I mean, to go back over 100 years. So what was your method for researching and finding all this information?
Yeah, absolutely. 2018 is when I started the screenplay. And as I told you, the book was based on the screenplay. So my primary resource, and these are all listed in the bibliography, but the main one was a gentleman named Daniel Statnikoff. And he compiled pretty much an online book where he had a history or a period of time. And that's where I found a lot of the tidbits on shrimp. And as I said, I took certain liberties, but he had a lot of race documentation. And I believe he went into the archives, the Library of Congress, which I also used. So I used whatever I could. And fortunately, there are some people out there who are fighting hard to preserve, the history there. You have a gentleman online, Chris Price, Archive Moto is his website. And, I just patched together dozens of these types of gentlemen and people, ladies and gentlemen who keep the history alive. And, even pictures, there's people who have pictures out there. So I got whatever that I could and compiled them, and I went from there.
Now, Emma, just curious, was this just an American thing, or did you attend any races in the early 1900s in the UK?
No, I absolutely, this is a very American thing. I attended the steam-powered races, darling. Liza always jokes from me that I am the oldest person in the room, and so she's always very facetious and asks how many Roman chariot races I attended and stuff like that.
Steam-powered chariots.
Yes. So yeah, was this strictly an American thing, or did we see this abroad as well? Do you know?
Well, I don't know if you were asking me, but I just want to add.
Yeah.
A gentleman named Jack Prince. He was European, a champion cyclist, the velodrome designer or the motordrome designer.
Yeah.
He came from Europe, so you do have a European element there.
And I know they have, or they had, velodromes in Europe for the simple reason that
you remember them.
No. I was visiting a museum in Munich, and they have one of the motorcycles used to get the bicycles up to speed in the museum. So I know that they, at least as a minimum, had velodromes. But I think the board track racing was a very, very American pursuit, to the best of my knowledge. If any of the English listeners can actually correct me on this, but once again, I mean, it's shocking how this has kind of fallen out. And I knew about it, but I never really devoted a great deal of time to it.
Yeah.
But now the more I'm finding out about it, I mean, dear God, we can't know. It's not something you'd want to bring back, not with that carnage. But it's just a fascinating part of history.
Billy, by any chance, did you visit the Harley-Davidson Museum in Milwaukee?
I have not. Not yet.
Do you know why this is relevant, and you may want to put it on your list?
Please tell me.
Well, if you simply Google it, they have in their museum an entire section of a board track with motorcycles displayed on it. You can't really see that there. But I've seen many pictures of this. They have board track racers on an actual section of board track in their museum. So they are keeping this alive at the Harley-Davidson Museum, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing, and that's going to be on my list. I don't love flying, but I'll definitely make it anyway. And another place, Shrimp Burns was inducted into the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame, so that's going to be part of the same trip for me.
Perfect.
And I did visit the car museum in LA, where Biggie Smalls was murdered. The Peterson Auto Museum.
Oh yeah, I was just down there a couple of weeks ago.
Great. So they had a bunch of, when I went there a couple of years ago, they had a bunch of these original motorcycles there. So I got to see them and take pictures and stuff.
Wait, Biggie Smalls was murdered at the Peterson Museum?
Yeah. He was having his album release party for Life After Death in 97, March 97. And he was out. Yeah. So a block away, somebody pulled up alongside him and shot his car up.
Yeah. Now, here's a question I don't know if you know the answer to. Was Shrimp Burns a member of the Oakland Motorcycle Club?
Not to my knowledge.
The Oakland Motorcycle Club is the third oldest club in the country, and it's about 115 years old, I think, about now.
Yeah.
So he could have been.
I'm sure he knew those guys.
I wonder. We're friends with them. So I thought that would be an interesting thing to tie together. So we're getting close to the end of time. So I have a question, because you've mentioned a couple times the screenplay. So you've got the book, Shrimp, the Albert Burns story, but there's a screenplay. I'm guessing you're hoping to get that made. So I want to know, who's your top pick to play Shrimp Burns?
Oh!
Who's your dream big, go for it actor?
Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, there you go.
I actually have a mock poster with him as Shrimp, with Lily Collins as Genevieve, where there's a love interest, because it's a love story. At the end of the day, it's a love story. That's what I want to, again, reiterate.
Back to the human element. It's back to that, that human element. We get drawn in. It's a great story. It'd be a crime for Hollywood not to make this.
It's gonna get made. It's just a matter of time. I have the story, the original story, that people cannot steal from me, because I have the book, which is one of my motivations for writing the book. Originally, it had started as, let me get an added layer of protection for the screenplay, because it's kind of floating around town, and you don't want to see somebody with, hey, I got a movie about shrimp, so I can show this later on. it was like all of these things, serendipitous things that led to the book that, that shows, like, even in hindsight, even though it's me, I'm like that reluctant guy, the protagonist in this particular story, who didn't set out or plan to do any of these things, which just shows me again in hindsight that this was meant to happen. And why me? I'm not a motorcycle guy or whatever, because I'm Shrimp. I'm the actor version of Shrimp. I'm the artistic version of Shrimp. It's that spirit. I'm the guy against all odds. Again, there's no parts for you. Give it up. Who do you think you are? You have no training. You're not from Juilliard. Whatever. You're facing economic challenges. You name it, whatever it may be, the same challenges that he had, but you keep going because you have people that you love that you want to support, right? And that's why ultimately this is a love story. And that's why you guys do what you do. You use your passion for motorcycles to connect with people in a particular region of the United States. It's ultimately the motorcycles are just a medium for you to express your love that you have for people. And that's the important distinction. And that's the American way as well. It's about community. It's about love.
Now, I'll tell you something. For the motorcycle community, when there's a movie that has motorcycles in it, we perk up. We pay attention. Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you. If you were to direct this film, during all of the race scenes, are we going practical or CGI?
As a realist, I am a purist, but as a realist and budgetary considerations, we're going to mix it up.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not a director. I would definitely hire a qualified person for that. Possibly the guy who did Chris Hemsworth Extraction. He was a former stunt guy,
right?
So he really knows how to capture these things, and he does really innovative stuff. But I am the producer. I am the writer, so I would mix it up. The things that are impractical to capture, I would go CGI. But whatever we can, we would do. Real.
Okay, don't do us wrong, because we notice when they dub in the wrong exhaust on motorcycles, and they're like, we notice all those things.
It's the worst.
Oh, yeah.
So just make sure. Right, Emma?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to tell you, Billy, that you've said a couple of times, oh, I'm not a motorcyclist. And you're a storyteller. And that's so important for our sport. And your role within our sport, you should never apologize for it, because long after we are all gone, the storytellers remain. And your role to tell this story of an early part of motorcycling history, it's I think is beyond wonderful. It's a very, very noble pursuit. So don't ever think that because you're not a motorcyclist, it doesn't make you legitimate in the eyes of people who ride bikes. Everybody brings something to the table. And as a storyteller, your job is one of the most important ones, because none of us are going to be around forever. So what remains? The stories. So thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you so much. I accept that with my heart, Emma. I appreciate that. When the movie gets made, you have my word, and this is obviously documented, but you will be brought on as a consultant, because I see you know your history, right? And you guys will be kept abreast of the developments regarding the story. And, I do have to give credit. When I was 10 years old, I saw Rocky, right? And that changed my life. That gave me that whole spirit of striving and, just something to hope for, right? Because I was going through my, dark times as not knowing what's going on. But I use that model pretty much. Rocky is not a boxing movie. It's a love story.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So that's what I knew. I knew I had to stick to that. I couldn't pretend, let me just become a motorcycle expert and give all the specific facts and details about that's not what it's about. As you said, it's a human love story. There's always someone or something that drives us to do what we do, right? So that's what it was. My parents, it was their children. They loved us, so they wanted a better lives. Like you guys, like I said, you have your families and you have your community. That's why you're doing what you're doing.
All of the best stories are love stories. Titanic was a love story. Ford versus Ferrari. It was a love story between Ken Miles and his wife.
And The Godfather?
That's a love story between the mob and violence because they loved it.
But the Godfather and his sons.
Yeah, exactly. It was a love story between a father and a son. So these are the best stories, and these are the ones that really should be told. And I will be happy to consult on your movie. In any case, we are going to crash opening night. So expect us there.
Nice.
100%. You all are invited, and I do have to say, you're the first ones to accept me. You know, I did send out a dozen or so podcast invitations, and you guys are the first. And I don't think that's a coincidence either. So I thank each and every one of you and your community.
Yeah.
Again, from the heart.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer. Everything happens for a reason. In this big scheme of things, everything happens for a reason. And I think there is a reason you're here tonight. I think there's a reason that you're here talking to us tonight. You know, we've got a neat little listenership right now. We've been doing this for a long, long time. How can our listeners right now find more about you and your movie?
Or the book.
Or the book.
Buy the book right now.
So, yeah, exactly. What is the best way for them to find out all about your work with the board track race community?
I mean, you can buy the book. You can go on Amazon. And the title is Shrimp, the Albert Burns story. I think you see it in the lower left corner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have an author's website. I have obvious links to social media. I'm not a big social media guy, but I did create them for the purpose of promoting the book. So I can give you guys those links.
Can you give us, you know, the how we can follow you on social media? A lot of people, that's the easiest thing. They can just pick up Facebook, Instagram, whatever. How can they follow you on those things?
Yeah, thank you. Billy Choi. That's Billy, obviously, CHOI, Billy Choi 22. That's my Instagram handle. That's my Facebook handle. That's my TikTok handle. So Billy Choi 22.
Also, go to the link in the show notes. I'll put a link there
We'll include everything.
His website where you can go and order the book. And yeah, this sounds like a great story. Also, Christmas is coming up. Great present for somebody looking for a good story, because this is the kind of story that really hasn't been told. This whole board track era, and you've managed to find this little cowboy with a great story in there. I think you're onto something there. I'm excited about it, and I wanted to thank you for coming on and sharing the story.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure, and thank you guys for having me.
Oh, thank you, Billy.
Yeah.
What a lovely interview.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck with your project.
And I assume you have been to the Peterson. Have you been recently? Because they have a bunch of board track racers on display there right now.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Like I said, I was just there a couple weeks ago. Great museum to go see. You're just lucky you get to live near it. But thank you very much, Billy, for coming on. Again, you can go to billychoibooks.com. You can find a link there, or you can just go to Amazon and look up Shrimp, the Albert Burns story.
Billy Choi 22.
You know what? You had me at shrimp.
You really did. That's her love language. Shrimp is her.
This is true.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. You can just close your laptop, and we're just going to continue rambling on about motorcycle stuff. But I will put a link to everything in our show notes. And let us know when you are getting closer, if you're doing any sort of fundraising or anything to make the movie. We'd love to be a part of it.
Yeah, anything we can do to help you along the way, give us a holler. Anything to do with this giant umbrella of motorcycling, we're in. So
awesome.
We are more than happy. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Billy.
All right,
nice
Billy.
meeting you.
Much love, everybody. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Talk to you again.
All right. Talk to you later.
So I think that is so cool. It's just something we've never really talked about, the whole board track era. And I'm wondering if this film gets made, would that bring that style back in? Would we start seeing that?
Well, I don't know how you could duplicate that. I really don't.
Why not?
If it's a look, though, the tanks and the frame style, and that's kind of what Janus is going with. It's a modern, fully functional motorcycle, but just with that look of vintage styling.
Yeah,
no, that's kind of what motorcycles looked like back then. It wasn't.
Not
true.
They weren't purpose built for that.
Perhaps we should all start dressing like it's the 1910s. Yeah,
if you want.
Very good.
I wanted to. Oh, you got some bagel?
Yeah, Liza, I wanted to mention something very interesting here.
Yeah.
There was a word that Billy had brought up. Funny enough, he said at one point the word serendipity, which I had just texted to a friend about something that happened this weekend for me. A long time ago, I was an East Coast scooterist, and there was this one scooter ride that I went to in Annapolis, Maryland. And in Annapolis, Maryland, they have a parking lot that is dedicated to step-through motor scooters. And they have a sign that specifically, and that was the reason why we made Annapolis a destination, so we could park our step-through motor scooters in this little parking lot. And so I have a picture of a bunch of scooters parked there, including my Heinkel. And there's a very pretty little green Vespa there as well, which stood out because it was a nice looking bike. And this was back in 1993. Now, fast forward to today. I have a local friend here who moved to the area here a couple of years ago from Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
And he and his wife have this nice place up in the hills, and he has a big garage there with a lot of different scooter projects. And I went over to hang out this weekend and get a chance to actually see some of his scooters. And I was looking through the garage, and there was this one green Vespa that just looked familiar to me for some reason. I thought I'd seen this bike before, because there were not a lot of British racing green Vespas.
Mm-hmm.
That was not a factory color. That was something that would have been repainted. So there weren't a lot of them around. And so they kind of stood out. And I saw this bike. I was like, that just looks really familiar. And
you remember this from 30 years ago?
32 years ago, he pulled out a Maryland historic license plate. And I said, no way. I think I have a picture of that bike. And sure enough, I went home, went through my old paper photos from back in the day, and there is a green Vespa with that same plate on it that I saw from riding from Baltimore to Annapolis in 1993.
Wow.
And the story was that my friend's wife had lived in Baltimore in the 90s, and she ended up buying that bike from that guy, possibly even later that year. And she had it for a number of years, rode it a little bit, and then it needed work, and it just has kind of sat for a while. And they moved to Southern California. She moved back to Southern California, and then they moved up here 2 years ago, and the bike just kind of moved with them. And and then I saw the bike again for the first time in 32 years this past weekend. It was just
That's
absolutely
crazy.
twist of fate.
However, Bagel, that is not the real story.
Oh,
The real story is that sweet Yosemite Sam mud flap on the Heinke Heinkel.
oh, you like that? Yes, my back off mud flap, which was fully multifunctional, because my Heinkel was very slow back in those days.
That is funny that you caught that detail.
Oh, absolute. That is the big story, that Bagel had a Yosemite Sam mud flap on the Heinke Heinkel.
He's a ginger, so he had that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a match made in heaven as far as I'm concerned.
Oh my word. Hey, I wanted to just take a few minutes to talk about another topic that I want to ask for feedback from our listeners on.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of shows, events that we go to, obviously at Laguna Seca every year. We love the one show in Portland, Vintage Days. I'm never stopping going to that. That is my happiest place on earth. But I was talking with John about like, well, what are we going to do? I know we're going to go to AIM Expo. You're not able to go, John.
Not this year, no.
But that's
boo!
in January.
Are you sure you can't go, Johnny?
Pretty sure, yeah.
It won't be the same without you, Johnny.
Oh, thank you.
It'll be better.
I know it will, but I'm
ways
not
it will
going
be,
to
yes.
tell him.
No. And so I was like, I don't know, John, maybe we need to try some new events and shows that I've never been. And some of the ones I started kind of thinking about shows that I've heard that sound really cool, like Mama Tried. Is that it been in...
It's in Austin, right?
No, Mama Tried?
I thought it was in Austin.
No, the Hand-Built show
Hand-Built's in Austin.
is in Austin.
Hand-Built show
Mama
is
Tried is up in Ohio, or is it Cleveland or something like that?
No, I think it's Cleveland.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Barber? Should we go to Barber sometime?
Barber.
Boy, the museum is there. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, the Barber Museum. I mean, if you want to see everything, because they have everything. So, yeah, Barber's cool.
Born Free. You've been a Born Free, right?
No, I haven't. And I was going to say...
That's down in L.A.
Yeah, and I always kind of like the idea of Born Free because at my heart, I love choppers. I love old school, high sissy bar, raked out front end, psychedelic paint job choppers. And there's so many of them at Born Free. And it just comes across as a really good scene. So I think I'd like to do Born Free. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll do it in 26. Who knows?
Yeah. What about, you know what I've wanted to do is the Moto Beach Classic. Do you know about that one?
I don't know about that one.
It's the Rolling Sands.
Oh.
Remember they did the Moto Bay Classic that we went to when he brought it up here. And it was a little bit of everything. It was some flat track.
It was fun.
It was some gymkhana with police bikes.
Yep.
It was custom stuff. It was kind of like everything. They do that in October in Huntington Beach every year.
Oh, that's easy for us to get down to.
I know. And I'm like, I kind of want to put that on the list for next year is a Moto Beach Classic. Also, one you mentioned, John, that I'm interested in.
Which one did I mention?
Overland Expo.
Yes, I totally want to do that.
Yeah, there are a bunch of good events, even like the 49ers rally up in like Sacramento, is it? The BMW rally?
It's up in the mountains.
Yep.
You mentioned Sturgis. I know.
Hey, maybe if I get the topper going, I can take it out there.
There you go.
I will probably have to go to Sturgis this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have to.
Well, with Women Riders World Relay, WRWR, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff. In fact, I'm going to be in Rogers, Arkansas, January 3rd for the first event in the USA. We're going to be doing the baton passing. Yep, down at Mach 1 Motorsports in Rogers, Arkansas. So
have fun with that one.
Yep.
Cool.
And then I'll be later that month at the Ace Cafe for an event.
Right.
And then we're also going to be going to Isle of Man that week because we're meeting with the race coordinators about our involvement at the TT. So I'll be going to a lot of stuff. Emma, are there any motorcycle events that you've always kind of been interested in? Or like I went to Americade. I would totally go to Americade again. Are there any, hold on, any that you've heard of that sound like pretty interesting?
You know, it's funny you bring up Americade. I kind of regret not going that year because I was actually invited as a technical tour de force. And I can't remember, I think I had a conflicting schedule, but I would like to do Americade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be a very, very good scene.
I mean, I want to go to some races. So I'd love to go to. I'd love to go to Austin. I know a lot of our listeners have been there, but I haven't been there yet. Springfield Mile would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Springfield Mile would be a trip. You know, anybody ever sort of? I know Daytona is kind of a scene.
Yeah, I've been there. Oh, I used to live there.
Yeah, of course you did.
Yeah, It's not my scene. I'll say that.
Okay.
Well,
So,
this is an opportunity.
It's Sturgis on the beach, basically.
This is an opportunity for you listeners. Let us know what are the events that we should be checking out next year for 2026. This is what we're planning. We want to see and do some new things.
And we want to hang out with you.
What about, should we
What about
all...
the Misfits Rally?
Oh, we got the Misfits Rally coming up. What are the dates on that? April, I'm getting it really quick like I knew off the top of my head. It is April 16th through 19th.
Mm-hmm.
What about band camp?
Bring the,
look at that. Got Bagel's
bring the
attention.
Bergman.
Oh, yeah.
And get
I'd love to go
ostracized
to
at the
one of
band
these
camp at the
days.
Bergman.
I don't know if I can handle band camp.
I don't know if you party enough.
Party hard. I don't think I could handle a scooter rally.
Scooter rallying is hardcore.
Well, can we touch on that, please?
Yeah.
Why do you think scooterists have this such hardcore reputation
Compensation.
as party people? Do you think it's compensation or what? I mean, what do you think?
I don't think it's scooters are compensating for anything. I mean, I think scooters are just, they just want to have a fun time, and, they don't care about, what they're, what people think about what they're riding. They enjoy it. They enjoy riding scooters.
Right.
They enjoy the camaraderie. They enjoy the people.
Because they're crazy mofos.
And people come together to let loose, and it depends on the rally. Some rallies are more mellow than others, but there are some that are known to be just kind of wild party times, and especially if they're out somewhere in the middle of nowhere where you're not bothering anyone, let loose, have fun. Just don't hurt yourself or anybody else. But other than that, have a blast.
Scooters are the misfits of the misfits.
They are.
His misfits squared. Well, yes. Send us, tell us what events we should check out and why. Oh, I'm actually going to be attending the Mid-Atlantic Women's Motorcycle Rally in June. I'm going to be going to that for the first time.
Well, won't it be a bit wet?
In June?
In the Mid-Atlantic.
Oh, that's when
Will you be on a boat?
So let us know what events we should check out.
Oh, no.
You can send that to
I don't
motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com. Let's get to some emails real quick. I have one from our dear friend Jason at the Six Bike Garage.
Jason.
Apparently Kat pissed him off.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, what's Kat done now?
Well, so Jason says, the Fast Way Round movie has been on my radar for a bit, but more as a peripheral awareness is something pending. Very fun to hear Ryan give a bit more info about it, and if I can get a couple cars to fall the right way, I'll be making a potentially cold and wet ride up to Vancouver for the premiere. Jason, if you want to win those tickets, send us your favorite movie and why. He says, I've done a few Iron Butt days and even a couple of them back to back, but I feel like that only gives me a hint of what it must have taken to go for 17 days like that. Just wow. Yeah, it was fun talking to Wendy about that too. He says, on a different topic, in light of Kat calling me a liar when you read my email last week.
What?
I feel like I need to defend my good name.
What?
Because we joked that Jason from Six Bike Garage has more than 6 bikes. So by default, he's a liar. He says the 6 Bike Garage tile isn't derived from the number of bikes I own. 6 motorcycles is the maximum practical number of bikes I can have in the garage and still be able to get any work done efficiently. I just happen to currently own an impractical number.
6 bike garage plus storage.
There you go.
I think Bagel can understand that.
Yeah.
John, you got an email there to share with us?
I do.
This email is from Peter H.
Hey, Peter.
What's the H stand for?
Hively.
Okay.
I wasn't going to say his name, but oh well.
Hell if I know.
There it is.
High velocity.
He says Beach Street Cafe.
Yeah.
I think you guys mentioned this place a few years back. I saved it on my phone and finally made a point of stopping here today on the way home from a long weekend of Central California's best back roads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, this place is amazing, especially because I never would have found it otherwise. This week, I am thankful for you guys making the world a better place. P.S. I just listened to the Fort Nine Round the World pod.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what an adventure. Speaking of adventure, I'm heading up to Dirt Summit now. If you if you ever hear from me again, I guess I've been grabbed by the Meth Mountain Mafia. Yeah, we've encountered them.
Those guys.
We've encountered them.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there are certainly some worse ways to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
good one. All right, Emma.
I have one here from Stephanie at
Hey,
Bikes
Stephanie.
Built Better.
We love Stephanie.
And she's included a link to a YouTube. So,
right. Do you remember what this is about?
well, this is AI stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, when we talked about the new Goldwing motorhome.
Yes. So, she goes on, this one is hysterical if you know your Harley models. And it claims that HD is going to introduce a new model, the Shovelhead, for 2026.
Mm-hmm.
So the Shovelhead was the nickname of the big twin motor used from 1965 to 1984. It was never the name of any model. It was one of the worst HD motors ever. Oh dear. I think that might upset a few people. I don't think anybody has warm, fuzzy remembrances about the Shovelhead. Well, it was in the middle of the AMF years. Meanwhile, they show some twin cam softails, some flashes of some real Frankenstein mock-ups with features like Sportster's cam cover, Sportster-style primary cover, softail frame with exposed twin shocks. Oh, I'm looking at the AI now. That's an odd shape to... Oh. Well, this is all quite strange. Twin cam motor flips, so the cam cover and the exhaust are on the left side, and the lettering on the fuel tank is backwards. Well, that's always a giveaway.
Okay, but I have to say on this...
What about this terrible monologue? I like the idea of a terrible monologue.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to freeze frame this. Okay. What is the... it's underneath the thing. Can you read what it says on the tank emblem down the middle?
Let me see. It says...
You can hit play if you need to see it.
Down the middle?
Down the middle. Oh, you have to rewind a bit.
Okay. I mean...
Well, you passed it. It said Harley-Davidson.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic. And I mean, it's very peculiar.
And it's so funny because AI, somebody's created a fake commercial for a new model of bike that doesn't exist. And the actual tank emblem says Harley-Davidson.
I wonder who Harley-Davidson is and if he knows his name's being used. You know, I mean, someone has put a great deal of effort into this.
No, they didn't. It's
they just...
AI. They're each a different bike.
Well, I mean, why on earth would somebody do that? This video is so bad. It's like watching a train wreck or scouring poison ivy with a stiff brush. It hurts like hell, but you can't stop doing it. Have a happy Turkey Day. Well, thanks for giving us that turkey, Stephanie.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm now on the headlight. It says Harley-Davidson.
Good
Anyway,
Lord.
watch out for the AI. That's the point. There's a lot of fake AI commercials for new bikes. Bagel,
Yep.
we got time for one more.
All right. I have an email here from Brandon in North Carolina. Brandon writes, "Huzzah, mother effers."
Huzzah!
Oh, it's a bent needle. Bloody hell. It's bent like a banana.
First, I'm happy to see that my traditional salutation has taken hold with a few other listeners. I would like to check in on my inherited VTX 1300. A set of universal slash-cut mufflers from J&P Cycles, a Moon Eyes air cleaner, and a rejet really woke her up. She still won't keep up with my street triple, but I definitely have more passing power on tap. I've decided that I will try to modify it to meet my style more while keeping it something that my grandpa would ride. To that end, I bought a Vetter Windjammer 4 to mount.
There you go.
It'll be a process, but it will be unique and hopefully get me a few more miles per gallon.
Wow.
I have 2 questions for the group, but primarily Miss Emma.
Hello, darling.
1, how does one determine how much a charging system can handle in additional accessories? Mainly just thinking about heated grips, heated seat, and some USB charging.
Oh, easy peasy.
I have a trip to Sturgis coming up with my Veterans Motorcycle Group, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, or CVMA, and I don't want to have an electrical issue kill my trip.
So, the VTX that we'll answer each question individually. The VTX 1300 has got quite a robust charging system on it. It's got a large alternator, which is 3-phase, and it's got an MOSFET regulator rectifier which shunts the power away. You should be able to load it up with lots and lots of accessories and you will be just fine. The problem area comes in sport bikes, which tend to have quite small alternators, and simply because of weight and real estate, people put these very high power headlights in them, and usually accompanied by a shitty battery. Remember, your battery is part of your charging system, so make sure that you put a decent battery in it, which means don't go to O'Reilly or AutoZone and buy your fucking battery. Go to the dealership and buy a Yuasa and bolt as many accessories on that thing as you want, and it should be able to easily handle it. Tra-la-la. Second question.
2, I mentioned in a previous email that replacing the needle really helped with carb issues I was having. I have attached a picture of the old and new needles. The old one appears to have experienced some kind of wear. What would have caused this? Thanks as always, Brandon in North Carolina.
So, Brandon, your old one is just bent like a friggin' banana. And generally, they're not going to wear like that. That is a result of ham-fistedness. Pure and simple. Somebody has either dropped something on it, or just been really khaki-handed when they were assembling the carburetor last. Because let's be honest with you, I mean, a VTX 1300's getting on for a 20-year-old bike. Somebody has been in that carburetor before you, and they clearly weren't as skilled as you are. So the new one on the left is very nice. It's shiny. It's got a very nice taper to it. So it'll be a nice progressive needle as you go through the rev range. More importantly, it's straight. So there you have it.
Well, there you go. I hope we answered all your questions. I love these putting a vetter fairing on.
Wait, you know what? I tell you what. Why didn't I think of this before? That is an absolute match made in heaven. A modern cruiser, big cruiser, with a Vesa windjammer. Is there a better match made in heaven? And I shall tell you why. A windjammer is way cooler than just a cheeseball windshield. And if ever there was a bike that could be improved with a windjammer, a modern-day cruiser's it. Get it colour matched, even if you only use a rattle can. It'll look absolutely marvellous.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Right. And it's just a matter of figuring out, how to attach brackets and stuff to mount it. But, that's doable, right?
Well, I mean, the thing is with a windjammer, it's just got the plates that it kind of sits on, and the plates are about at the level of the bottom of the tank and extend forward. Either side of the fork legs. So all you've got to do is you've got to figure out a way to attach those plates.
I believe that the plates attached to the forks using metal hose clamps.
Well, the down tubes are the frame, because it's a frame-mounted fairing.
Right.
And obviously on a cruiser, you'd have to work a little bit harder.
On the frame. I've hooked that up before.
But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be hard. You know, if you got a welder.
Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
What a capital idea. Well done.
I want pictures. Please send us
pictures.
pictures.
We want pictures. Pictures or it didn't happen.
This is the week of Thanksgiving, so time to get into all of our thanks. Thanks to Billy Choi.
Thanks, Billy.
For sharing the story about shrimp burns, and the bird tracking. I think that's cool. You should really check out that book. It seems like a great story. And he's somebody who really did the research and found a really cool kind of story to build out on from that. Thanks to all of our listeners, our Patreon subscribers, and everyone who emails in and tells us what's going on, and to all the misfits out there.
Oh, yes.
Big thanks. Let us know again what shows we should go to. Let us know if you want to come to the Fastway Round with me. Send us your email and your favorite movie, and let us know what motorcycle icon you would want to go on a ride with.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe somebody will say you, Liza.
Maybe.
You're a famous motorcycle icon.
If you want to come and ride with me on my Niken and then you can buy it, that would be awesome. I'll make that happen.
Yeah, we want to come and visit with you. We want to crash on your couch and then raid your refrigerator and then tie up the restroom for like an hour every morning.
I can do that.
And empty the hot water heater so you have to have a cold shower. We're great house guests.
You were out of control. So thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. I mean, God, we're still here, 650-something episodes in.
Crazy.
Still going strong.
Well, I think really the pertinent point, the salient point is people still listen to us. So thank you.
Oh, and stick with us next week because we're going to have some of our misfits coming on. Hector, Charlie, and Scotty just attempted to do the Barstow or the
Vegas to Barstow.
Barstow to Vegas, which is this crazy off-road ride. And I just got a report from Charlie that 1 out of 3 finished. So,
wow.
Yeah. So there's going to be some stories. This is a very gnarly ride, and they are 3 capable riders.
Yes, they are.
So I'm curious to see. We're going to find out next week
Very good.
Happen. So thank you, everyone. You can reach us at motorcyclesandmisfits@gmail.com, and you can go to motorcyclesandmisfits.com. I need to get in there. I'm going to start updating our calendar for next year, where we're going to be, and send us your events, and I'd like to add them to the calendar as well.
Righty-o.
And that's it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Time to get out of here. This is Liza.
It's Emma, darling.
Stubby John.
Bagel.
And we are out of here.
Cool.